What are the implications for the economic war and sanctions being placed on Russia, and how will that affect governments and companies thinking going forward? Well, for governments, I think they'll obviously look at the sanctions against Russia in terms of the foreign reserves. What will governments do going forward? Traditionally, you'd always hold a lot of US dollar assets in your foreign reserves. But given sanctions against Russia, this is obviously an area for security kind of discomfort, because they could be held or frozen against future governments. So I think we've been talking for a long time now what would bring the dollar to depreciate. So maybe going forward, governments may start to use other assets rather than US dollars for their foreign reserves, and this could have a weakening or depreciating dollar going forward. So that's one aspect. I think for governments and companies, I think the other aspect is, what are they going to do about the supply chain risk which they're taking? So for example, I'm sure most governments or companies are thinking about semiconductor shortage, and they obviously buy quite a lot from Taiwan, and we know that China has certain intentions there, and which could lead to another problem area for the world. And this would mean that companies as well as governments will start saying, how do we fill this gap? How do we start manufacturing and having our own supply in our own country? And this could have a very big impact on how we can the governments and companies move forward in terms of their expenditure. So it's going to have a very deep impact on how we look at supply side constraints and how governments utilize their forex reserves going forward.